Good morning, YouTube. It's Sunday, and Millie's all excited about this. I'm gonna make a gumbo here at the tiny house cabin shavin place. It's a family staple that my family has made. My mother used to make it. My dad would make it. Everybody, pretty much, except I think my grandmother. But anyway, everybody in my family, makes gumbo. It's it's a Cajun soup, I guess you could say. It's somewhere between a soup and a stew, more of a soup, but it's quite delicious. So let's take a look at the vegetables I'll be chopping up to make this. Okay, first we have a large sweet onion. I like to use the sweet onions for two reasons. I find they taste better, and also they don't make you cry. These are grown and ground without any sulfur in the soil, so it doesn't form sulfur dioxide basically that goes to your eyes and then mixes with your tears and causes sulfuric acid, and that's why you cry. A little science there for you this morning. But big sweet onion. Normally I would use a large green bell pepper. They didn't have any at the store, so I'm just going to use a medium. We're going to use some cloves of garlic. I'm not going to use the whole head. I'm just going to use some of it. Some green onion, some onion vert, and some parsley. This will be the last thing we put in because it'll cook the way to nothing. The one ingredient that I don't have, that I wasn't able to find, was celery. They only had a couple of stalks of celery at the store, and they did not look good at all in any way, shape, or form. So I just went without the celery. It's okay. I've made gumbo before without celery, and it really, you won't miss it if you can't find celery. Garlic, onion, and bell pepper are what's going to really have things stand out for you. All right, the meat that we use in a gumbo, at least for this gumbo, there's several types of gumbos, and I will eventually make them all for you. But the mainstay in pretty much all of them, smoked sausage. Okay, and this we're going to be using this sausage called andouille. It's spelled andouille. I guess I don't know, little pronunciation, but in French it's andouille. This is basically made with processed or already cured meats. That's where this is made with uncured meat and then smoked, cured meats and then smoked, and then chicken. And I'll talk to you about chicken in a little bit. With this, all we're doing is taking and we're gonna slice the sausage up. You use whatever brand sausage you want. Back when I was a kid, we used to raise our own hogs and process them, so we had our own smoked sausage. We didn't do andouille. In fact, my mom, when she made it, did not use andouille. I started using andouille later on. But we'll just take the sausage. I like to kind of cut them at an angle because it gives it a little more surface area. And you're just going to slice up your sausages. And all you want to do is just get them into bite-sized chunks. My mom used to put sausage that size in the gumbo. So you stick it with a fork, bite it, and just keep biting it. I just slice them up and throw them in.
Because if you try and cut it with a spoon while it's in your bowl, the whole bowl goes flying. So.
Yeah, yep. many years ago when I was a butcher in another town, there was actually a smokehouse there, and they used to make their own andouille, and they used like a larger casing, so it was about that big around. And oh man, that was some good andouille. But I don't even know if they're there, and it's kind of a rod to get there. But you can see the texture. I don't know if can you pick it up on the camera?
I'm trying.
You can see the texture. This is the andouille. This is the sausage. You know, a little bit different texture in the meats, but well worth the difference in the taste.
Be careful though when buying andouille, because anything labeled Cajun could be spicy.
Right.
And it will make your entire gumbo super spicy. And we're not a spicy family, so that can be a problem.
Right. Yeah. You know, Southwest Louisiana does a lot of spices and Tabasco and all that, because well, that's where Tabasco's made, McElhenney's. But where I'm from is in central Louisiana, where we're going to use lots of different seasonings and such, but we're not going to use anything hot or spicy. We never put cayenne pepper in anything. So now chicken. Normally in a gumbo, we would use a stewing hen. Two things with stewing hens. One, they're hard to find. Used to be you could get them just about anywhere. Two, Millie nor I care for dark meat, the legs and the thighs. So it would actually be a waste to buy a stewing hen. Also, with a stewing hen, you have to cook the gumbo for a lot longer to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. It does make a really good gravy, but I kind of get around that using chicken stock. So I just picked up some boneless breasts, and we're going to take, and I just slice them up into bite-sized chunks. And believe me, it comes out good. For me, it comes out just as good. And leave the fat, that adds flavor. Don't leave the bone, that leaves choking.
I think you should have bought a bigger pot.
It'll make it.
Okay.
You got to remember, this all is going to just cook down.
I know, it just looks like so much. It smells so good on the side of the camera.
I haven't even started cooking yet.
I know.
Ta-da! All right, now it is time for one of the most important steps in a good gumbo, and that's making a roux. I will show y'all how to do that. I'm sure if anybody's done any cooking there, maybe somewhat familiar with it. If not, you're about to learn. All right, be back in a little bit. All right, go ahead. All right, so I've got my Cajun crock pot on, my black iron kettle. I've got some oil in there. I'm going to add flour to start making a roux. General rule of thumb is equal amounts of oil and equal amounts of flour. I've been doing it long enough that I just kind of put in until it looks right. And then we are going to let this start to brown. Get everything mixed up well.
How high is your fire?
The fire is probably at about a medium to low. You don't want a hot fire. You don't want this to do quickly. In fact, it's going too quickly. I need to turn it down. There we go. You you don't want your roux to cook for a short period of time. You want to take a while to get this brown. You're going to want this to be a golden brown. Normally, I would have it to be a dark brown, but Millie prefers a lighter brown, so we do that. And it's just kind of a thing where it's one of those deals where you have to watch it constantly. You can't just walk away and go have a drink, you go play cards or whatever, because this will go from a roux to a burnt mess and nothing flat. Okay, so you want to cook this down. If you cook it too fast, it can have a tendency not only to burn, but to actually have a floury taste to it. I've probably got about a cup of oil and a cup of flour in here. Maybe between a half a cup and a cup. I don't know if I have quite that much. Again, I've been doing it so long I don't even measure anymore. But if I had to guess total, I have about a cup of roux in here. Maybe 3/4 of a cup. Make sure you're scraping the sides. That's why when I'm doing the roux, I use this. It's just a flat wooden spoon, and it's really good for getting into the sides of the pot. So you're not having anything just sitting there and burning. And I'll scrape the sides occasionally, make sure I got everything off the sides. Okay, now this is going to take anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how much roux you're doing. So we're going to go ahead and cut away right now while I finish cooking the roux, and I'll bring you back when the roux is done. All right, so we're getting really close on the roux now. It's cooked a little quicker than I wanted it to because I'm using a propane stove. I'm not used to cooking on this other than frying eggs and bacon. But we'll be all right. Just getting it really, getting a nice brown color to it. And at this point, you definitely want to keep stirring it, because if you let it sit for too long, you'll end up with burnt, and that will give you a sour taste. And don't be discouraged if you make a roux and it doesn't turn out right. Get rid of it. It's flour and oil. Just make another one. You can actually make it in a separate pot if you want. In fact, some places sell roux in a jar, already made. I like to make my own. Now, if you notice, it's kind of not runny as it was before. It's thickened up. It's almost kind of like a really soft peanut butter consistency. Smells good. Smells like roux. Very distinctive smell. If you ever smell roux, you go in some place that where somebody's cooking it, or even a restaurant if they're using a roux, you'll know that smell right away. You can also use a roux to make gravies, like for a roast. You can do that. Or
Stewed chicken.
Stewed chicken, yeah.
Just a lighter roux.
Right, just make a lighter roux. But if you're cooking a beef roast or a pork roast and you want a rich brown gravy, you can make a roux with that. For that, yeah, chicken you would have it not quite this dark. All right, I think we're about ready to start adding some veggies. We're gonna add some onion. Mix that around. It will start cooking, but well, not start, but it'll keep cooking. But it's gonna, the vegetables will actually stop the roux cooking so much. And okay, the onions in. Add some bell pepper. And then some green onion. I'm going to save some of the green onion for later. We'll put some garlic in. All right, now get this going. All right, and you want to cook this just till the onions get clear. You don't want to cook it to where the onions are cooked down and all that. You just want them till they're clear, because this is going to sit on a fire for about an hour or so while it's cooking.
For 2.5 canisters of propane.
Yeah. So this will have to sit here for a while and cook. So those onions will cook down while it's in the liquid. I'm going to turn the fire up a little bit. Get things going. I had forgotten to turn my microphone on, so we're going to do a voiceover on this part. The veggies have cooked down, onions are clear, the bell pepper have started to soften up, and it is now time to add our sausage and andouille. I like to add these in at this point to let them kind of start frying and cooking down, releasing some of their juices. It will impart a really, really good flavor to the dish. You can just add them after you put the liquid in, but I just find that frying them down a bit gives it a little bit more of a robust flavor. Now, if you'll notice, I'm having a little difficulty now moving things around with that wooden paddle. Has gotten a bit heavy with the sausage in there, so it is now time to switch over to using a large spoon. And no, I didn't pull it out of my pocket. It was actually laying on the table, just the angle, camera angle is weird. But it does look like I pulled it out of my pocket. So we're going to get everything mixed up and let the sausage fry down and get some more good smells going in the cabin. Now this step I should have actually done before I added the sausage and andouille, and that is to add salt and pepper to my seasonings. Normally I would have done this, but in the midst of everything going on at the cabin, I was just, I guess, a bit distracted. Plus I wasn't feeling good that day, so anyway, we add the the salt and pepper to it. And this is to taste. If you don't like a lot of salt, don't put a lot of salt. If you like things salty, add more salt. This is entirely up to you. I'm not a big salt eater, so I've only added a couple of good pinches of kosher salt to the seasonings. We'll get that mixed around. I like to add the seasonings to unsalted vegetables and meats as I go along. Like that I can control how much salt is going in instead of just adding a bunch of salt at the end where you can end up oversalting your food. At this point, the smell is really, really coming together. The andouille is made from processed meats, and the sausage is just adding so much flavor. Okay, here the sausage is about cooked down. Well, not really cooked down, but it is starting to release some of its juices, some of it's browning down. The vegetables look like they're about the right stage, so we should be adding our chicken to the dish shortly, and we're going to let that start cooking down. Okay, here I've added the chicken. This was 3 boneless breasts that I've cut into large cubes. They will cook down and actually somewhat fall apart, so don't worry if you cut them quite large. They will get smaller and will fall apart somewhat. I do this just to get the chicken started cooking, not necessarily browning it down completely. I just want to get it started going so that it doesn't have to sit and boil in the stock for too long. And I find that actually helps keep it a little bit more tender. Now that we got the chicken going, I'm going to add some salt and pepper for the chicken. You could actually salt and pepper your chicken before you add it to the pot. If I find that easier, that is perfectly all right. This is the way I've always done it. So it makes life easier for me. And if you're not used to doing, you're not comfortable with it, go ahead, salt it before. Then put it in the pot and let it cook down. Now we've got our chicken started. It's cooking down, or it's not cooked down, but it started cooking. It is time to add liquid. We're gonna pour some chicken stock in here and let everything start cooking down within the chicken stock, and this will make an excellent base for our soup. Normally I would cover all the ingredients by about an inch of liquid, but because I had so much in such a small pot, wasn't really quite able to do that, but it's okay. It'll work out at the end. As things cook down, you'll be able to add more stock, and in fact, after we had served ourselves, I took the rest of the chicken stock and added it to the pot. So then when we reheated it for leftovers, it was fine. We had plenty of liquid. I'm going to give this a good stir around, let everything mix up. And now I'm going to increase the fire. Actually, I turned it off by accident. I had to restart it. We'll increase the fire on it and bring this up to a boil. All right, so our chicken cooked down. They're not cooked down, but our chicken kind of cooked. I added some chicken stock to it. Now what I'm doing is I'm bringing it up to a boil. Once I get it to a boil, which is getting there already, I'm going to give it a stir. I'll cover it, bring it down to a simmer, and then we're going to let it roll for an hour or so. I'll probably check it a couple of times. I'll bring y'all back one of the times when I check it just to see how things are going. But pretty much it, just letting it do its my cameraman's having issues over there. Oh, you can't hire good help now. Ever since COVID, you can't find good vegetables in the store. You can't hire good camera people. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we're going to bring it to a boil, reduce it back down to a simmer. We'll put the lid on it and we'll just let it roll. Nice thing with the cast iron is it holds the heat. She's messing with the lighting now. Holds the heat so you can have the fire fairly low, get a good simmer going, and with the lid seals tight, believe it or not, on this cast iron, so it will keep the moisture in, so we don't have to worry about things boiling off and then run out of liquid and end up with a pot full of burnt food. So bring you back in a little bit, people. It's gonna be good. All right, so we've been cooking about an hour. We're gonna take the lid off and have a look-see. I can tell you this, it smells delicious. Oh, can you get a shot of that, baby?
I think so.
Ooh.
Oh, it's pretty.
Oh yeah. All right, so at this point what we're going to do is we're going to add the parsley and the rest of the green onion. I just finely chopped up some parsley. And we'll go ahead and mix that in there. I put that in towards the end. We'll let this probably cook for another 20 to 30 minutes. But if you put the parsley in too soon, it just cooks away. And I just kind of like having it in there where you can see it and stuff, and some of the green onions as well. I don't think it would affect the taste if it cooked away, but just how I do it. Now, what makes this special is this here. Some gumbo filet. Gumbo filet, not file. There's an accent over the E.
You have to turn because of the glare.
All right, can you see it like that?
Oh, that's a little bit better, yeah.
All right, gumbo filet. Basically what this is the ground up leaves of the sassafras tree. So,
say that 3 times fast.
Sassafras, sassafras, sassafras. All right, you get some on your hand. You just kind of sprinkle it in the pot. And this is a powerful seasoning. So I'm going to put, you got a shot? Okay. I'm going to put 2 like that. For the size of a pot of gumbo. It's probably about 2 teaspoons if you want to.
And you can always add more.
Right, and if it's not enough, you want a little bit more, you can add it to your bowl. Always keep it on the table when we eat gumbo. I'll put the filet out on the table because I like a little bit more filet in my gumbo than a lot of people, or than some people. So I'll have that filet sitting out on the table where I can add me a little bit more filet to it. And most of your filet bottles will come with a shaker top, so you can, with the shaker top, so you can just shake some out. You don't have to pour it in your hand and then in the bowl. Oh look, there's something that was caught in the lid. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But that filet gives your gumbo just a special flavor, and it just makes life right. All right, so we are getting close, my people. We're going to take and put the lid back on it. I've got it on a low heat. I'm just letting it simmer, and we're going to get a pot of water going and make some rice. And then when the rice is done, the gumbo should be ready, and it'll be time to eat. Be back with you in a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is done. We have some rice, and we have gumbo. Some chicken, sausage, and andouille gumbo, which we shall partake in. And I really wish y'all could smell this, because it is amazing. So Millie and I are going to serve it up, and then we'll show you what it looks like in a bowl.